BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm your Thursday host for BodyBags, and this week I'm doing a remake that most people don't like, and I think it's because they've only seen the theatrical version of it. And as I'm going to tell later, just because the theatrical version may have been bad doesn't mean that a director's version of the movie won't be that bad. This week, I'm doing The Wolfman. This movie was a really good movie, and people trash on it so much, I really don't understand it when I go and watch the unrated director's cut, because they add so much to it. They add a whole 16 minutes to the movie. How can people not like this? Because they've only watched the theatrical version, or they just don't like werewolf movies. You have Johnston directing this movie. You got Rick Baker coming and do special effects. I was making sure. You got Danny Elfman doing the music. He is a classic, and he makes this music sound really good. Come on. And then the reason why people hate this movie is because in the theatrical cut, it was just timed and cut differently, and just not that good. This movie basically is basically the same story, the same story, same characters, basically, as the original 1931 or 32 Wolfman movie. The only difference is small details, like, say, why Lawrence Talbot came back to town. So, let's talk about the story for a second. Lawrence Talbot, he's an actor. He lives with the crew, I guess, he works, he lives with the theater, and he travels from place to place. He ends up in London, and he gets a letter from his brother's fiance that his brother's missing. They gotta go find him. So he goes back to his hometown to find him. When he gets there, he meets his father for the first time in, like, so long, because they had, like, differences and stuff. And come to find out, his brother's dead, and he got killed by some beast. So he ends up staying to figure out what's up. He goes to this gypsy place during night one time. I don't know why he chose the nighttime, but, it's whatever. A werewolf attack occurs where you got like 5, 6, 10, 7 people get killed just like that, and he ends up getting bit. No, you already know what happens when you get bit. He, for the next, like, 2-3 weeks or whatever, or maybe 1 week, he basically rests up, hallucinates these monsters he sees and stuff, but he ends up, coming back to, full strength or whatever. And as you know, in a werewolf movie, if you get bit by a werewolf, you usually tend to become a werewolf, so your main character, Lawrence Talbot, ends up, kind of becoming a werewolf, and he kills some people. So in the morning, when, like, he's back in human form, people see him, and they're like, oh, he's just crazy, so go send him off to an asylum. So he ends up being in an asylum, and he learns a horrible truth when he's there. Not that he's a werewolf, but he learns something else. I'm not going to spoil that, and I think we'll stop there, because then you're going to see if he ends up getting cured, or if he's gonna escape, and see what happens in the end of the movie, because the end of the movie is actually kind of not that bad. It's pretty different, because the ending of the movie is something you don't really see in werewolf movies, So, let me go back over the cast. You got yourself Benicio del Toro, who plays as Lawrence. You got Anthony Hopkins playing his father. You got Hugo Weaving playing a detective. And then you have Emily Blunt playing the fiance. I'm sure there's other people in that you should know. But, like, just hearing those 4 people, you're like, oh, this is going to be a great movie. And you watch the director's cut, it is a great movie. But that's not how it came to theaters. It came to theaters as the theatrical cut, and it was not that good. So, what's my biggest problem with the movie? Either 2 things. 1, the theatrical cut, because that movie's just trash. That version of the movie's just trash. And probably the CGI, because they do use CGI in this movie, and I just think that if they used actual like special effects for the werewolf instead of doing half and half, because I'm pretty sure that they did half effects, half CGI on the werewolf, then it may have been a little better. But I mean, other than that, the music's phenomenal, the script's not that bad. This, that, and the third makes this movie really good. Man, these people, this is driving me crazy. One thing I also will say is that if you do watch this movie in black and white. This movie is a colored movie, obviously, because it's newer. It came out in 2010. Came out in 2010 or 2011, something like that, to that effect. So yeah. So yeah, back to what I was trying to say. You watch this movie in black and white, and it just gives you this gothic kind of feel that you're like, it's like, you when you're watching it, you feel like you're watching the original, basically, which I thought was nice. In a sense, right? That, you know, when you feel like you're watching it in a sense. You know. What else? Is there anything else about this movie that I really don't like or really like? I mean, there's not that much I don't like about this movie. I think this movie is like a really good movie. And one of the best remakes out there. You know, there's a bunch of different remakes out there, but this is one of the best ones out there. You could probably say that this, you know, you could make a strong case that, you know, using the director's cut of this movie, it can be like a top 3 horror remake. I would say, you know, there's other movies out there like The Fly remake, Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake, you know, etc., etc. I'm just saying that you could probably make a case for this movie being a top 3. Or maybe even top 5, you know, if you don't really want to give it top 3. But, I mean, I really like how they brought all these actors in. It's kind of like, it's like, I don't know, what's a good example? It's like Knives Out. When you have, like, all these different actors and actresses just come in for this movie, and it's just, like, a really solid, good movie. That was like this, you know, not that big, but still, it's like this. So, I would say watch it. It's definitely a movie you should watch, and you'll probably watch it a few more times if you like it, or like werewolf movies. What else? What else about this movie? Just watch it. I'm not entirely sure where you could watch it. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. You probably just have to pay like $5 for it or something to rent or whatever. But like, if you ever get an opportunity to watch this movie, watch it, okay? Because it's a really good movie, or at least watch the director's cut. That's what I keep meaning to say. What I keep meaning to say is, if you ever get an opportunity to watch the director's cut, take it. And if you can only watch the theatrical cut, then, you know, watch it once, maybe twice. You know, you might like it because of the way it's timed. It's kind of similar timing-wise to the original Wolfman, which I'm not sure if they meant to do or if it just happened to be. But yeah. Man, I'm talking a lot. So that was the Wolfman. 2010. A really, really good movie. Director's cut's a really good movie. Theatrical cut's like an okay movie. So I'm just gonna rate the two different versions. The theatrical cut, I would rate a 6, maybe 7. But then you have the director's cut, and that can make, I would say 8.5 to 9. That, because like, it's really good. Is it my top 5 movies of all time? I'm not sure. Maybe top 10, but I'm not sure about top 5. You know, given I'm a younger kid already, I'm gonna grow more towards these newer movies, obviously. So if you get mad that I'm like, oh, he said it might be a top 5 horror movie of all time, just calm down, okay? Because, you know, we have different preferences. Anyways, I'm Sam. I do your Thursday reviews for BodyBags, and I hope that you watch this movie. And I also hope that you stick around for next week, my next review next Thursday, because it's another remake, but a little different. Anyways, I'll see y'all then.